Hey everyone, Alex here. Quick heads up, the episode you're about to hear was actually the second one we ever recorded, back when we were just sharing these with friends and family. We decided to release it now because it gives important context for conversations coming up in episode 3 and beyond. The audio is a little raw, but we think the content is worth it. Enjoy!
This league has the highest average salary in all of U.S. women's professional sports. Hi, I'm Caitlin.
I'm Alex.
And you're listening to Raising the Game, a podcast covering the rise in opportunity, visibility, and accessibility of women's sports globally. We're a husband-wife team who are avid sports fans raising 2 young girls and find the exposure and investment in women's sports a gateway for them and other young girls like them to see their passions for play, performance, and leadership, not just as extracurriculars to be added to a resume or a discipline with an expiration date after high school, but as a real opportunity to build a career as an athlete, a coach, an analyst, an athletic trainer, a director of sports operations, or maybe even a podcaster.
Each week, we're bringing you the top stories in women's professional and sometimes collegiate sports. We'll highlight primetime performers, key business decisions, economic impacts, and the growing opportunities for women's athletics. You'll hear our perspectives on these stories as fans, but perhaps more importantly, as parents who value what these stories mean for our kids. If there's a storyline or topic you'd like to hear us talk about, reach out via email or on social media at RTG_pod on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
All right, I think the first thing we're going to do this week, we're going to start with something we do with our kids every night at dinner. What is your favorite thing? What was your favorite women's sports moment from this past week?
Oh my gosh. So there are a lot to choose from. I will mention this throughout the episode. I had the pleasure of going to 3 live sporting events last week. High school, college, and professional.
All 3?
All 3. I have to say, one I'll mention here because we probably won't bring it up is I went to high school girls basketball game at my alma mater high school and got to see a player who used to play soccer, which I coach at this high school, drop 51 points in a high school game against a good team. Like, this was not like sleeper team, throw up whatever you can. Like, she played her heart out, and that was awesome. It was awesome. So fun to watch.
Yeah, that's great.
What about you?
I think my favorite thing was bringing the girls to the Frost game on Sunday.
Yes.
I think we walked away 5-1, 5-2,
6-2.
It was wild. It was
so
a lot
of offense.
So yeah, I think it was just fun. There's a lot of people. They did I think 9,700 people in attendance there.
Almost 9,800, I think.
So that's really cool to see, and then just the girls getting to see these women play sports at a very high level.
Yeah, it's really cute. Our 3-year-old gets really into just cheering for the Frost.
Yeah, she gets into it.
Our 6-year-old is kind of just taking it in, but that sort of describes them pretty well, actually.
All right, I think next thing we're going to do here is go into our top headlines. So starting off, we have the WNBA and the WNBA PA fail to reach their agreement by the January 9th deadline, operating under the status quo, and work stoppage by either side could happen at any time.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about this one, but just a reminder, WNBA PA is going to be the Players Association and the Women's National Basketball League. So the union, right, for the players. We'll get into an update. We talked about this at length last week, and we wanted to provide an update because we had that deadline coming up.
We did. Next one, we have Unrivaled had its first full weekend of play, and there was no shortage of fantastic performances.
Yo, we're going to deep dive Unrivaled.
Right.
I'm repping today already. I got my Unrivaled hat on. I'm ready to go. I've got my Paige Becker's t-shirt on. Represent Buckets. We're going to talk about Unrivaled. Super fun to watch. It was our first time watching it this weekend.
Yep.
Great time.
NWSL-PA is pushing back on the high impact player rule, arguing it fundamentally changes salary structure, ergo should be collectively bargained. And the current agreement was ratified in August of 2024 and is set to run through the 2030 season.
Yeah, so this one, we have a few more headlines around this, but again, Players Association now in the National Women's Soccer League, basically claiming that we may need to move to like early bargaining, renegotiation of their current CBA, which would be a lot considering they have that current agreement set up to 2030. But again, you're kind of seeing that model of them looking at the growth and saying, hey, pay us what you owe us, right?
Exactly. Sam Coffey, U.S. Women's National Team midfielder, in advanced talks to sign with WSL club Manchester City, which would make her the 7th U.S. Women's National Team regular headed to the WSL. And before you comment, I think there is actually also some collective bargaining that we need to get into in a future episode with the WSL. There's some drama over there right now.
Oh, awesome. Yes, we will absolutely have to dive in. Actually, I think it would be great for us to get into like the funding structures and how they differ. We mentioned in the last episode that those WSL teams are backed usually, or there's a pool of funding from the men's side as well. And so it's just structured very differently from what we see here in the States.
Sticking with the U.S. Women's National Team, the January camp roster was named and youth is on the menu. This group will compete in friendlies against Paraguay and Chile at the end of January. She believes Cup teams and locations have been announced. USA will be joined by Canada, Colombia, and Argentina for the matches in Nashville, Columbus, and Harrison, New Jersey in early March. 2026 marks a big qualifying year for women's national soccer teams as they prepare for the 2027 World Cup in Brazil.
Yeah, and I want to add a quick headline to this. This is late breaking news, like almost early, a couple hours ago, but we've talked a lot about U.S. Women's National Team players leaving the NWSL to go play overseas. News just came out tonight that U.S. Women's National Team captain Lindsay Heaps is actually coming back from a pretty long stint at Olympique Lyonnais in France to be a part of the Denver Summit expansion team, which is set to start this year. So that's really exciting news. She's a Colorado girly, so I think she's coming home. She's done a couple stints overseas. She's kind of been there, done that. A little different than some of these younger players headed over there.
Movement in the PWHL standings over the weekend. As Olympic teams continue to be named, Canada and Germany have been named.
Yeah, along with the U.S., which was named about a week ago. We'll talk about PWHL in one of our longer segments, kind of give you a rundown of where the standings sit, players to watch, and how the playoff picture is shaping up.
I looked at the standings. It's very interesting right now with the standings. League One Volleyball served up their first matches this past week, with defending champions LOVB Austin beating Nebraska in 5 matches in the opening match.
Yeah, and we'll also talk about LOVB. I mean, all three of the kind of spotlights we have for today are all of these like younger leagues or newer organizations to provide opportunity for women to play professional sports. It's really cool to compare and contrast the funding structures, the investment, the interest in these different leagues. I'm really excited to get into that.
And finally, in U.S. figure skating qualifying action, Amber Glenn's stunning short program performance propelled her to win her 3rd consecutive U.S. figure skating championship, the first woman to do so since Michelle Kwan.
I cannot stop thinking about watching that performance.
You were like, here, look at this one.
So good. It was it Like a Prayer? I think she did Madonna. And she was perfect. It was literally like perfect. I noticed too, in doing so, she toppled defending world champion and her Team USA teammate Alyssa Liu en route to that national championship over the weekend.
All right, our first deep dive, Unrivaled, kicking off. So why don't you take us away here?
Yeah, so we mentioned this in the headlines. We had our first full weekend of Unrivaled action. They actually opened the season last Monday night, played back-to-back kind of doubleheader between 2 teams. But let's get into it. We teased this a little bit last week. This is a new league founded in 2025, as you can see on the hat. For those who are just listening, I got a brand new baseball hat in honor of this league. But founded in 2025 by former UConn Husky teammates Brianna Stewart and Napheesa Collier, who have gone on to be superstars in the WNBA. Brianna Stewart's a 2-time MVP in the league, has a world championship, WNBA championship. And Napheesa Collier is our hometown hero here with the Minnesota Lynx. She should have gotten MVP last season. Just between us. But essentially what Unrivaled is it's a 3v3 women's basketball league. It's made up of 8 teams, 6 players per team. They added 2 teams this season. So last season they did 6. They've got 8 this year. Features some of the top W talent. So we've got teams go by the Laces, the Lunar Owls, the Vinyl, the Rose, the Mist, the Phantom, and then the Breeze and the Hive are the new additions this season. Players that came in this season that are new to Unrivaled include Paige Buckets Beckers, I'm showing my shirt, Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever, Dominique Malonga of the Seattle Storm, Kiki Ariafan and Sonia Citron of the Washington Mystics, and Cameron Brink from the LA Sparks. Returning this season, so they played in last year's Unrivaled season, we've got Chelsea Gray from the Las Vegas Aces, Kalia Copper and Alyssa Thomas from the Phoenix Mercury, Jackie Young also of the Aces, Skylar Diggins-Smith from the Storm, Sabrina Inescu from the Liberty, teammates with Brianna Stewart, Brittany Griner also of the Washington Mystics, and Kelsey Plum of the LA Sparks. So you've got these are marquee names for those of you who follow WNBA basketball. Those are big gets for a league like this. And really the point behind this league, right, was to provide a space for these players to play in the off season for the W, right, and not have to go overseas. The script for years, and I remember this growing up as a kid, was, you may play in the W, but you have 4 to 5 months out of the year where you need to make more money.
Yes, you need to survive.
And you want to keep playing, right? You want to keep playing at a high level and keep your game sharp and whatnot. And so the opportunities to do that were overseas in Europe, right? And so this was, I think, a really innovative idea that Fee and Brianna and Stewie brought to the table. The league is also supported by Napheesa's husband, who I think kind of organizes all the operations and things like that. But really, really cool. So like I said, tipped off January 5th. We've got the championship will be played on March 4th. So it runs pretty quick. It's about a 2-month season. 56 regular season games. So the way this works is every weekend, basically between now and that March 4th date, up until playoffs, you're going to see teams play each other kind of in a foursome. So Friday night, 2 teams will play, and then another game will happen right after that. And then the next night, they'll have another set of 4 teams that'll play. And then you get to Sunday and Monday night, and they've reshuffled so you're not playing the same team again.
And you're never playing a back-to-back.
And you're never playing a back-to-back, which is a change from last year, I was reading. So it's pretty cool. They're quicker games, 7-minute quarters for 3 quarters. We'll get into how they do the 4th quarter in just a second. But essentially, you're going to end up playing each team twice. Top 4 teams make the playoffs. They play this down in Miami, Florida, at the Sephora Arena. They got renamed, which is why we're sounding like we don't know.
Center last year or something like that.
But they will play their first games outside of Miami on January 30th in Philadelphia. So Unrivaled is
that like a normal 4-day schedule, or like
I believe it is. Okay. I believe the plan is for it to be a 4-day schedule. Right. So, let's talk about the rule differences. So we talked about 3v3. It's full court. So this differs from the FIBA, so the Federal International Basketball Association rules, which is just a half court game. The court's about 15 feet shorter than regulation, same width. So just not that much less space that they're having to cover, right? I already mentioned quarter structure, 3 7-minute quarters. 4th quarter, Alex mentioned this in the last episode, but they call it an elam ending. And do you want to talk about it a little bit? That was your favorite rule.
That's my favorite rule, and I have some thoughts around it too. So for those who aren't aware, they get to the fourth quarter and stop play, and then it's they add 11, right?
Yeah, they add
11 points to the highest
Yeah.
team's total, and that is the number to get to. So if you're relatively close, it's still anyone's game.
Anyone's game.
And I think the thing that really stood out was it the Breeze versus
The Hive.
The Hive game that we saw. The Hive was down by a lot, but the defense stepped up dramatically in the fourth quarter. And so it was really interesting. And the second thing that I like about this is you get into that last 2 minutes of an WNBA game, and it's just a foul slog sometimes. You're just going back and forth. It's really slow.
Yeah.
And I think what this does is it just kind of speeds it up. You've got more defense happening, and then you've always got that exciting winning shot.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest part is like regardless, we watched a couple games that played out a little differently over the weekend, and it's like it doesn't even matter if the team is like up by 20 points. There's still a next shot wins mentality,
exactly.
which is really fun. And we actually, one of the games we watched, right, it took this team a while to get that
He needed one or two
shot.
points, and it took a few up and down the court a few times.
Yeah, you were kind of waiting, like, can they erode into the lead and like maybe make it interesting? And they didn't, but it was still fun. Couple other differences for those of you who are maybe more familiar with the 5v5 WNBA NBA style of basketball. 18-second shot clock versus 24 we see in the W. For free throws, this was one of my things that I thought was really cool. So for free throws, you always shoot one shot, right? So you get one free throw, but it's equivalent of the points of the shot you were fouled on.
Yep.
So if you get fouled on a 3-pointer in the Unrivaled, you shoot one free throw, you get 3 points, and you make it. You got to make it.
Which is why that Elam ending is so great. You can't foul to get out of trouble there and hope.
Right.
You can kind of hope they miss the free throw, but if they hit a 3,
right,
then that makes it even worse for you.
Exactly. 6 fouls to foul out. There are special rules if you get down to 3 players. I have not looked into those rules. I have not seen this happen yet. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, I saw. I read a little bit about it, but I think they get to keep the same,
like bring someone in or something.
Yeah, it was
so you can run out of players pretty quick with only 6 teammates. We have yet to see anybody get into foul trouble. We've watched maybe like 3.5 games, so we'll kind of keep an eye on that. The other cool thing, in mid-February with this league, they do a 1v1 tournament. So all the players who are part of the team, they get together. I think it's over 3 days, maybe the 11th through 4 days. I think it's a weekend, 11th through the 14th. And it's just single elimination bracket style, like head-to-head 1v1. What's awesome about this is another opportunity for the players to earn some more money. So the winner of that 1v1 tournament gets $250,000 prize money. But the bonus is that all her teammates will also get $10,000,
which is nice,
which is great.
Passive income. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. And like you're getting knocked out at that point. Like you want to cheer for your teammate. Right. And so it kind of creates a little bit of camaraderie.
The thing that I found really interesting is that prize money is almost exactly the 2025 Supermax contract. So like if you win that, you basically got a Supermax for a year.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, is there any like with your teammates who get the 10K? They got the 10K, that's nice, but is there any like kind of strife there with the team? Like, oh, you got 250, I got 10. Like, do you think, or are they just professionals?
I don't think so. I'd be like in a normal, like we don't all get medals.
Yeah.
Like at least I get something, right?
I guess that's true.
And again, I think it like encourages some of that, like, hey, I got your back. Like I'm going to be behind you, cheering you on. It kind of creates the environment, right? And keeps the players engaged in who's still competing in this, right? Speaking of compensation.
Yes.
So Unrivaled, and we'll talk about this when we give the WNBA PA update, but this league has the highest average salary in all of U.S. women's professional sports. So minimum 6 figures for every player who participates. Season 1 salary pool was $8 million. If you just take that and peanut butter spread it across, that is an average salary of about $220K, which, as you just heard Alex mention,
it's really close to the Supermax.
Bordering on the Supermax salary in the W right now. Players also receive equity ownership in the league, and this is an all-inclusive experience. So when players go down there, their housing is provided for, their training facilities are provided for, their recovery resources, nutrition support, all of that. So they basically show up, get treated like professionals, have access to the things that they need to perform, and can really just focus on their basketball.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it comes to, so you might be wondering, where does all the money come from, right? So founded, as we mentioned, by Brianna Stewart and Napheesa Collier, they have a slate of celebrity investors participating and backing this. We have Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, Coco Gauff, U.S. tennis star, Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time. I feel like you have to say that when you say his name. Dawn Staley, she's the head coach of the University of South Carolina Gamecocks, multiple national champions. She's phenomenal, by the way. Juju Watkins, so USC Trojans basketball star, still in college now.
Just turning the NIL money around.
Yeah, I think she's just turning. I think she is. I think she's literally
smart.
Like NIL. Like, let's put it back in where I'm going to be playing someday. So they've got some serious star power in that investor lineup, and I think why we bring that up, right, is because I think you're seeing this desire for people to see these opportunities grow, right? And I think that's what, people like Giannis, like Steph, people from other sports disciplines. We just were reading this week that Serena Williams is an investor in the Toronto expansion team in the WNBA. And so we're gonna continue, I think, to see a lot of that cross-pollination as we, I think, see not only the opportunity to see women's sports grow for the athletes and the coaches and all of that, but I think people are actually seeing it as like a sensible business investment.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I have a question about that when it comes to the LOVB once we get to that later.
Nice. Yeah, we'll do it.
I want to hit on one thing. I don't know if you were going to hit on it, but they also get equity in the league.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
And so I think it's really interesting. What we talked about last time was the WNBA kind of feels like they are trying to give a little bit more money up front with some of the new CBA stuff, but then it like kind of spreads out over the long term as less overall. Whereas you have this league saying, here's a bunch of money, also here's some equity so you will help us grow it. And like they're going to see if this turns into a league for the decades, like you have this huge amount of equity in this big league, and it's going to be really great for the players who got in up front.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really clever from the ownership or founding group for Unrivaled, because now you not only get the players they want to participate because they want to play, right? And they want the compensation and all the benefits that we've listed, but now they have a vested interest in seeing it grow, right? I think that sort of makes it more real for them, whereas right now, like, they're not seeing that opportunity in the W.
It's interesting. They kind of take the page out of the book of a tech startup. Like, we're going to give everyone a bunch of equity. It's going to be in your best interest to work your butt off to help us grow this.
Yeah. Tell your friends and neighbors to use our product,
you just
watch our games.
You lock these players in so easily with that and give them something to work for. Yeah,
and you bring up a really good point too when we were mentioning Juju and the NIL money. We'll get into NIL at some point. We probably need multiple episodes for that. But like these young players are now coming in with literally millions of dollars in NIL money. And somebody's giving them good advice and saying, go invest that money somewhere, which is pretty cool to see. So really quickly, we'll just wrap with how it's going so far. So the Breeze are breezing. We mentioned the Breeze are the expansion team. This is the team that Paige Beckers is on. Dominique Malonga, I mentioned her. Cameron Brink. Kate Martin. Yeah, this is the youngest team by far. Rakia Jackson, youngest team by far, but they're having a lot of success. I think they had their first loss last night to the defending champions, Rose. Right now. But they're fun to watch. They're having a good time out there. The defending champs, I mentioned the Rose, are undefeated, but they're winning tighter games. The other thing that we noticed this weekend is you are seeing some insane performances, like multiple high 30s points performances. Kelsey Plum.
Can I pull out my favorite stat that I pulled out just for this story.
Yeah.
Chelsea Gray with a rose through 3 games has 95 points.
Okay.
The next
Girl.
the next closest is 67 points. So she's got 28 more points than the next closest person. 31.6 per game and almost 1.5 points per minute played. And
oh my gosh.
and a 35-minute point game.
Y'all. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's
considering these games are like 70-ish to 85 points. Like she's scoring a third of the points every night.
Yeah, and that actually highlights something interesting about this format, right? So the 3v3, we've heard a lot about how you can't hide defensively, you can't hide offensively either, right? Like you have to be good 1v1, and this format is actually really well suited. We mentioned last week, I kind of predicted that Paige would have some success in this format because she's got a really strong mid-range game. You're seeing players like Chelsea Gray, Derica Hemby last night had 40 points when the game we watched, like have a ton of success if you're really good kind of in that 1v1 stop and pop mid-range game, or if you're really good off the pick and roll.
Yeah. You hit into the last question I actually had. I know if we were going to get to it. Do you think there are certain system players out there that are afraid of this league because it might expose them as not like a straight baller versus
potentially, but because I do think that's very fair. We've heard multiple interviews with pplayers talking about how you kind of get put on an island. There's no help defense sometimes.
Yeah, you can't hide.
And so you can zone up, those kinds of things. Like you got to be solid both sides of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think for sure there could be some players. I mean, you'd hope that they'd see it as an opportunity to grow, but you never know.
You never know. All right, do we want to move on to our next subject?
Yeah, so we're going to try to keep this pretty short. We've got a couple quotes we want to share, and then we'll move on. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more news on this, but we do want to provide an update on the WNBA CBA negotiations. So the deadline passed on Friday. Reportedly, no contact from the league to the union since the union provided their latest kind of rebut to the league's rebut, right? Over 2 weeks ago now. And the union was understandably pretty disappointed. I'm going to read the statement they put out, and then I'll read the league's response. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the other things that have happened. I know Alex has some quotes he pulled too. So the statement from the union read, at midnight, this is on January 9th, the 2020 WNBA PA collective bargaining agreement will expire. Despite demonstrating our willingness to compromise in order to get a deal done, the WNBA and its teams have failed to meet us at the table with the same spirit and seriousness. Instead, they have remained committed to undervaluing player contributions, dismissing player concerns, and running out the clock. The league issued a statement after the deadline had passed that read, as the league experiences a pivotal time of unprecedented popularity and growth, we recognize the importance of building upon that momentum. Our priority is a deal that significantly increases player salaries, enhances overall player experience, and supports the long-term growth of the league for current and future generations of players and fans. It sounds like a lot of words to me.
The momentum comment has me thinking about the expansion teams. Is that just stuck now? Can they not draft? Are they allowed to play?
Yeah.
Like, what happens there? Because if you're somehow locking these expansion teams down to not be able to do anything, at least I don't think they have any players yet at all because the drafts haven't happened.
No.
Do they get to play? And where's your momentum if you're going to let this happen?
Yeah. So I think we mentioned this in the last episode, but and Alex mentioned it in headlines, but they move into what's known as a period of status quo. This is very standard for union negotiations. Okay. Status quo it's like a normal terminology. But what it means is that they will continue to operate as if the current agreement is in place. However, a work stoppage could come at any time, put forth by either the league or the players. the problem that they're running into, so Alex mentioned the expansion drafts. We've got 2 expansion teams due to start this year, and they're supposed to have drafts occur to pull players from existing teams, and then you also have the college draft in April. They were supposed to start free agency. So they can start doing that contacting this past Sunday, so a couple days ago. And they are able to do that under the status quo that they're in. However, right now, the Players Association is basically saying or recommending like no one should be negotiating contracts, because if terms change, you're now in a worse contract. And so it remains to be seen like how this is going to affect like the expansion draft and things like that. Does that get pushed out? Does it not happen under status quo? Do they pull the work stoppage? I will see. But generally speaking, I think what we're hearing is like a tone of real disappointment from the players and kind of lip service from the league. Like, I don't know. I do some communications as part of my job, and this just sounds like a nothing burger to me.
Is there any notification process from the Players Association or the league when it comes to a lockout or a strike? Like, do they just say at 8 a.m. one morning, hey, we're locking you guys out, there's not going to be a season?
That's a good question. So I know when they were under the extension period for the CBA negotiations, there was some parameters that I feel like I had read about that require notification. I would think that there's got to be something there, but maybe we can take that as a to-do to look up and bring back to next episode.
I think you ended on, some kind of tones of disappointment. Do you want me to read the quote from Napheesa Collier right now?
Yeah, absolutely. We love Queen.
I hope I can do this justice here, but
we love Queen.
All right. Quote, well, our deadline is coming up right now in a couple of days. This was last week, obviously. And I think you've heard a lot of chatter about what we're asking for is not sustainable for the business. And being on this side with Unrivaled, I know what it takes to run a sustainable business. Side eye. That side eye was my own, but you imagine, right? So I think if they can't find a model that makes that happen, they need to put people in place who can. Because we've proven that it is possible, there is a way, and we're thriving on that. She continued, and so I do think a deal is going to get done, but we're standing firm in what we believe in. We're not going to back down. We can't take less. The sport has grown too much. It would be a disservice to the people who came before us, to the work that we've put in, to take less than what we're owed.
Ooh, girl.
There's a lot there.
All I have to say is that if you are raising young people and you want a model of what leadership, graceful leadership looks like, articulate, smart leadership looks like, go find some Napheesa Collier videos. It's actually incredible. She has a really awesome backstory, kind of history and politics and diplomacy.
We might need to do
family.
Like a history,
like a deep dive on Fee
story just for that, because it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really good. So, suffice to say, we'll keep you posted.
Yeah,
we'll keep you posted. But right now, it's not looking good. I am optimistic that you asked last week, like, who do you think has the upper hand? I think the players have it.
Yeah.
I think they have it right now. I don't think the league can afford to walk away from the momentum, and I don't think the players are gonna give.
No. I'm optimistic just because I really want them to have a season.
Yeah, me too.
I really want to go to some games.
I know, they're so fun. And that was like every night. Whenever they played last summer, we were just like had it on. The girls were watching.
Our oldest would go to our little tablet thing we have and say, "Are they playing tonight? Can we watch them?"
Right. Where
Linksy Pinksies are on.
Pinksies, yeah. Stud buds.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna move into a couple other new and newer leagues. And spotlight those for a minute. So we mentioned we had the opportunity to go to a Minnesota Frost game this past Sunday. It's our third game there. It's the first non-playoff game we've been to.
Non-championship game we've been to.
We'll talk a little bit about that experience at the end of this segment, but we're going to talk about the PWHL, so the Professional Women's Hockey League here in the United States. We're not going to go into like the ins and outs of the league, but we want to give a little update on how things are standing as it were. So the Boston Fleet right now are leading the standings. Yep. They've got a little bit of an edge. I do believe they just went down to the streaking Ottawa Charge last night. Ottawa's got like 6 wins in a row or something like that.
It's crazy.
It's insane. And they have a bunch of players who were named to Team Canada, which is pretty fun. But our very own Minnesota Frost moved into second place with their victory over Seattle Torrent. Yep. We have the New York Sirens have about 18 points in the league, which I think was putting them in second prior to the games played this weekend. They may have lost. Minnesota just jumping out ahead there with their win. And then the Charge and the Toronto Scepters are coming up kind of in the middle of that pack. The expansion teams are struggling so far, but it is early days. So these are Seattle, Vancouver are home to 2 expansion teams this year. It's interesting when you look at statistics. So one kind of small fun tidbit is the league uses what's called 3-2-1-0 scoring system. So when you look at a record, it actually has 4 numbers, and you're like, "What is this?"
It always breaks my mind when I look at their stats. I'm like, I don't remember how
tell
this
where
works.
anything is. So you get 3 points for a win, you get 2 points for an overtime win, you get 1 point for an overtime loss, and 0 for a loss. And so you look at the statistics or the standings, and you're kind of like, "Where's the losses? Where's the ties?"
Exactly.
But that is how that works. So top performers. Again, we got to shout out our Minnesota Frosties. Yep. Kendall Coyne Schofield, our captain here in Minnesota, was leading the league in goals. I actually think this changed a little bit last night. But she has 12 points. She had a point in the game last night, tied with Brianne Jenner of Ottawa. So I actually think Brianne Jenner took that mantle as far as leading goal scorer last night, because I did see she scored a critical goal for the Charge in their win over Boston. Kendall Coyne Schofield's teammates Britta Curl-Salemi also has 11, maybe even more points at this point from the game last night. We had 6 goals, as Alex mentioned in the game, so people were racking points left, right, and center. Kelly Panic of Minnesota Frost, Abby Roque from the Montreal Victoire, Daryl Watts from the Toronto Scepters, and May Batherson, who's also of the Minnesota Frost, have been surging in points as late. And then in net, Erin Frankel, the Boston goaltender, she sports a 1.36 goals against average and almost 95% save percentage, which is currently has her established as the league's top netminder. So really cool, great performances out there. It's going to be fun to watch, but we have this little thing called the Olympics on the horizon. So what's going to happen? The Olympics, we talked about last week, start in early February, and they run basically the whole month of February. So the PWHL is going to be taking a break for a month. So this is unusual for a normal season. It will be a really interesting break to kind of see like who has momentum going into the Olympics, and does that stay sustained coming back? That sometimes can really screw up teams that are streaking. When
I was prepping for this episode, I tried to write it all out, but it comes down to the rust versus rest storyline. Every time you have that, you got these players that are going to be all rested, and how much have they been skating? Have they been skating hard? You've got these people who have these players who have been skating hard in the Olympics. I think they get a little bit extra time, just not the 3 weeks of the Olympics. They get more, but it's also like they're playing a lot of games in a short amount of time, and you're playing for your country. I'm sure there's a little bit more adrenaline there, and it's just like, are you going to come back just totally gassed? And Ottawa, like we said, is started out poor. They're streaking. Will that carry past this and into the rest of the season? Will Boston's success continue, or will it kind of ebb and flow? What's that look like?
will we, the Frost, be able to maintain kind of, we're starting to build right now. So we will definitely be keeping an eye on that. We've got a lot of veteran Olympians in the PWHL. All of Team Canada plays in the PWHL, which is pretty cool. We have 6 players on the Minnesota Frost who are on Team USA. And then we had the pleasure of watching Hillary Knight, who is the captain for Seattle Torrent, who she's captained Team USA multiple times. She went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, go Badgers. But she will be in the Olympics for the 5th time, which is the most ever by an American hockey player, men's or women's. So,
and actually, I want to just go back to that, because I think you actually also saw another Olympian on
I'm glad you brought it
Friday or Saturday night when you went to that game.
Yeah, so I mentioned I went to 3 sporting events. We've talked about the Frost game, the high school basketball game, but Saturday night I went to a Minnesota Gophers, Minnesota State Mankato Mavericks hockey game. So women's college hockey, Division I. I know a player who plays for the Minnesota State Mavericks, Zoe Lopez, shout out. But on the Gophers, they have Abby Murphy. Yeah. So Abby Murphy, if you haven't heard of her before, her viral assist is going crazy on the internet right now. I was texting with some of the women I went to the game with today, and we were talking about how we were just glad that our former players' legs weren't the one that had the puck bounce through them. But we've seen her play now 3 times because we watched them play the Mavericks, and she just skates at a completely different level than everybody else. It's really awesome. It's crazy. And I'll be excited to see how much ice time she gets in the Olympics, right? So that was fun. Got to bring my older daughter to that, along with 2 women that I coach with and all their kids. Yeah. Which is great. All right. I think that's more or less all we've got right now on PWHL. As with all of these, we'll keep an eye on it.
Shall we move to the LOVB?
Yeah, so we're going to wrap things out as far as our kind of league updates this week with League One Volleyball.
League One Volleyball.
LOVB. I always say LOV in my head.
Me some volleyball.
So what is League One Volleyball? This was all a learning experience for me. I knew nothing about League One Volleyball except for that it drew my attention because we are apparently getting a team here next year.
Yeah, I saw that.
So founded in 2020 by Caitlin Gao, Peter Hirschman, and Olympian Kevin Wong. It was founded as a network for youth volleyball clubs across the United States to eventually provide an opportunity for a pipeline to professional play. Yep. It's a unique, holistic ecosystem. So from the youth side all the way up through the pros. As of July 2025, LOVB's youth business includes 77 club locations in 28 states with over 22,000 youth athletes and over 3,500 coaches. There are 7. So sorry. There's expansion teams on this list. Yeah. So we've got teams in Atlanta, Austin. Austin's the defending champions. Houston, Madison, which I think we've decided as our home team.
For now.
And Nebraska. And Salt Lake, excuse me. So 3 expansion teams expected in 2027, as we mentioned, not only our lovely hometown of Minneapolis, but Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Okay. All right.
So also expanding, you're starting to see these themes across these different leagues.
I'm interested in the model, like almost the business model, this youth network into professional. It's very interesting. There's this like sneaky thing that you might not be thinking about when it comes to a business. You're thinking about your cost of your customer acquisition, and their customer acquisition right now is almost free, or they're getting paid for this network, right? And so you're obviously going to continue to try and grow your customer base as this gets bigger, but you have a built-in customer base already.
Right.
Now you're going to be looking at how do I increase that average value of the customer?
Yeah. So that's probably going to come, I have to imagine, like in terms of what kind of sponsorships can we get? What kind of broadcast deals, right? Because as you say, customer base is kind of the people who I assume have to pay to participate in these clubs, right? And so the way that you're going to grow that top line for them is going to be ad revenue, the sponsorship deals, the different, again, broadcasting and advertising that comes with that. So that's a good point, though. And I think worth a dive on how is that being sustained, right? So we'll get into 2026 season. They kicked off on January 7th, which was last Wednesday. Really cool thing about this league is they spotlight like match of the week every Wednesday on USA Network. So cable, like you can get that pretty much anywhere. And watch those games. The other thing that's cool is the first match of the season is always a rematch of the two teams who played in the championship. So
other leagues take note.
Right?
100%.
Right? Wouldn't the Super Bowl, it'd be like great. You bring like Super Bowl teams back and they have to play each other first thing in the season.
Or even like the people who knocked each other out of what team out of the play, or like however, like those different.
Let's replay Bears and Packers. Wait, we get that every.
We get that all the time.
We like other sports too.
Yes, we do.
So Austin hosted Nebraska and they won. Austin beat Nebraska again in 5 matches. Now, to be clear, 5 matches that's the whole way you can go for those of you who maybe don't know as much about volleyball. Each team will play 20 matches in a season, 10 home, 9 away, plus 1 neutral site match at the LOVB Classic in Kansas City, Missouri. So I think they bring all the teams there. They do that in February. They'll all play a match there, kind of like a big convention. Postseason features 4 teams making the semifinals that are in early April, and it's a 2-match series. So they will play twice and see who comes out on top from that. And then there's another 2-match series to determine the champion. Let's see. Where can you watch? We mentioned USA Network, the ESPN platform. So we talked about expansion and kind of like how do they start to push that top line up.
I was going to mention it in the what to watch this week, but there's USA Network, ESPN Plus, the app. So you might need a subscription. Maybe it might be free. Then there's an app called Victory that I believe will also have them for free, certain games, and not Victory Channel. Please, not Victory Channel. You're not going to like that.
Don't do that one.
But go to Victory. It's like a Victory app. Just want to put that out there because it is one of the platforms they play on.
Yeah. No, that's a good call out because we want people to go watch this. We need to go watch this. And who you should be watching for. So on the Austin team, the defending champions, they have Madison Skinner. She was the 2025 Finals MVP, ranked among the league's top 4 players in points per set, kills, and kills per set. And then Logan Eggleston, she's a 6'2" outside hitter, founding athlete. So I wonder if she's participating in like an ownership group of one of these franchises, and 4-time All-American with Texas. And then an LOVB Nebraska, so one of the other more well-known clubs, I think, we've got Jordan Larson. So she's actually a team co-owner. So you've got the same thing we talked about with the Unrivaled. You've got ownership stake for some of the players. She's an Olympic medalist, finished top 5 in the league in aces last season. And then you've got some other talent. So Lexi Rodriguez making her debut as Nebraska's starting libero. Do you know what that is?
I don't know enough about volleyball.
I'm pretty sure, and we do need to educate ourselves, but I'm pretty sure the libero is like that, the person who wears the different colored jersey, you know?
Oh, okay. I seriously do. I need to... I know the ball goes over the net, and I know I like watching it.
It's very fun, but we're going to learn the rules a little bit more, just like we'll learn rugby rules a little bit better. Other stars to watch for, Kelsey Cook of Atlanta. She's actually going to be out this season. She is pregnant with her child. Jordan Thompson from the Houston team. Lauren Carlini and Mika Hancock are both Olympic medalists from the Madison and the Houston team, respectively. And players collectively hold 23 Olympic medals.
Wow.
So, again, serious talent on the court. Also, if you have never watched volleyball, it is probably one of the most exciting sports to watch.
We watched some college last year, and it was intense.
Like when rallies go on. And people are diving and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're so athletic. Like they can jump so high.
Yeah, it's insane. I want to go back. My understanding, maybe I'm wrong, is that Jordan Larson on Nebraska was a little bit more than just kind of equity, kind of more of an owner and player.
Yeah.
And I'm really wondering what that locker room is like sometimes with ownership in the locker room. That seems very odd to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. And something I think we can keep an eye out for, right? Because I was likening just they're participating in the stakes of the league to the Unrivaled. But yeah, when you're actually like an owner potentially making decisions about who's on the team and in the locker room, right? That seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest. So as we talked about with Unrivaled, we'll talk about league investors. So their total funding, LOVB actually raised $160 million across multiple funding rounds.
Wow.
So not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
16.8 million in Series A funding. This was in September of 2022. This was led by the great Billie Jean King, who loves to invest in all things women's sports. She's a PWHL investor. She's a part owner of the Angel City FC and the NWSL. Another amazing leader that you should introduce your children to.
I think that was actually a question I had that I didn't write down. Was she involved? Because I feel like this would be
totally
right up her alley.
Yeah. Alongside Billie Jean King, Kevin Durant.
Oh, there you go.
NBA superstar.
They're in the same circles.
Totally. And then following that, they received $35 million in Series B funding in 2023 with investments from Minnesota native Lindsey Vonn.
Oh, there you go.
And Olympic medalists galore returning to the Olympics in a few weeks here. Jason Tatum of NBA fame and Candace Parker of WNBA fame is part of that $35 million investment. And then they received about $100 million investment from Atwater Capital. So that was in November of 2024. So they've kind of kept that VC funding sort of situation going, act like a celebrity investor type thing. So they're supported.
Yeah, very supported.
To put it mildly.
Okay, the question I wanted to ask, I saw that there was a franchise sale to the Spurs Sports and Entertainment Network Group, something like that, who owns the San Antonio Spurs. When you have a group like that, it feels like it's a validation of the business model. They've seen something that they like, and they think this has legs to grow. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, again, you're seeing this like thread through our conversations the last couple weeks, but people are recognizing the opportunity, not just for entertainment, not just for future opportunity and all of that, but actually from a business perspective, like this is a smart investment.
Yep.
And so I think that's a really good point, that you look at these maybe more classically legitimized groups who are looking at these leagues and saying, I want in on that.
I want in on that. Yep.
Right. So that's pretty cool. One really quick thing I want to call attention to before we move on from this is, Alex mentioned we've watched some women's college volleyball the last couple years as the rise in popularity has really skyrocketed. And just a few fast facts about that in case you're wondering, because women's college volleyball is in season right now, and you can also watch that on many sports networks over the weekend. But record-breaking attendance, so actually the all-time attendance record for women's sports, like all of them, was done about 2.5 years ago now, August 30th in 2023. Nebraska defeated Omaha at Memorial Stadium. So for those of you who are Huskers fans, you know that's their football stadium in front of 92,000 spectators. Annihilating is the word I put in my notes, the attendance record for women's college volleyball and setting the world record for women's sports attendance. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that these games in playoff times are averaging roughly 20,000 attendees. Yeah. So once they get to playoff times, you get 20,000 people in the building. They're getting an average of 1.7 million viewers on ABC, like
Yep.
major broadcasting networks. And you're seeing an average of, I think, 45 to 50% increases in viewership
Okay.
across the board over the last 3 years or so.
Yeah.
So really taking off.
I think there was a stat that I saw where there's something like 1.3 billion minutes spent watching women's volleyball, college volleyball.
Oh,
do
yeah.
You, do you know that
No.
stat? I don't know if it was last year what the time frame was, but I think that what that tells me, what that should be telling certain people, advertisers, is that this is being watched,
People are watching.
and you need to get some things in front of these eyeballs. You
Yeah.
need to be advertising in front of this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
name of the game.
Yeah.
Invest in women's sports.
There it is.
All right, that's all I have on volleyball for this week, but we'll be watching a match of the week on Wednesday night.
All right. We're going to move on to our what to watch for the week. So we've got just a few things here. We've got the Unrivaled. We have, again, like we said earlier, games Friday through Monday. I think I was looking forward most to Saturday night's Breeze versus Vinyl game. Like we said, Breeze have been playing well, and they take on the Vinyl, who I believe were the runners-up last year.
Year's runners-up.
So I think that's probably one of your better games of the whole weekend.
Yeah, the Vinyl sport another Lynx favorite, Courtney Williams, on their team alongside Brittany Griner.
Yep.
And Dearica Hamby, who we mentioned had the 40 piece in a game over the weekend.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be a good one.
That'll be fun.
PWHL. Someone told us our bias was showing on the last episode, but I got to talk about the Frost again. Friday is a matchup between the number 2 Minnesota Frost and the number 3 New York Sirens. So they're 1 point apart in the standings. So a win here puts the Sirens back into second place. And if Boston loses on Wednesday and the Frost win on Friday, they would be within 1 point of Boston.
All right.
So right there. But you got to hope that Boston loses. Their next 2 opponents are in the bottom half of the standings. It's going to be Toronto and Seattle. So they're probably going to win at least one of those, but we can get our hopes up.
Yeah, let's go Frost. That'll be fun.
And like we're talking about LOVB, I was going to mention, again, USA Network, ESPN Plus, sometimes ESPN2, and then the Victory app, not channel. They have 3 games up this week. Game of the week, Austin taking on Atlanta on Wednesday night on USA. So
we'll have to check it out.
That's our game of the week. Nebraska taking on Madison on Friday on Victory. That's a Midwest Rumble.
Midwest Rumble for sure.
A lot of passive aggressiveness happening on that court.
The cheese versus the corn.
Yes.
Who will win?
And then Atlanta playing Nebraska on Sunday on ESPN Plus.
Cool.
Yep. So we got. I do like that it's not multiple games all at once. You can kind of spread them out and you get a chance to watch all of them.
Yeah.
College hockey. This was a little bit difficult because there was only 2 or 3 fully ranked games.
Okay.
So they ranked the top 15. We have St. Cloud State, who is number 15, versus U of M Duluth, who are ranked. So the closest ranked game playing right now, the Mavericks are playing Ohio State, but I don't know if the Mavericks will be ranked after this past weekend with their display on Friday night. And Ohio State's just really good. So
Ohio State is number 2.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they're number 2 right now.
Behind.
As of today.
Behind Wisconsin. Go Badgers.
Yep. So yeah, I think that'll probably be kind of the more hardest fought matchup. It's an in-state rivalry.
I was gonna say. No one likes
St. Cloud State's ranking is kind of hanging in the balance here. We're still,
I think it is,
kind of early in the season, midway through the season-ish.
Yeah.
You get the break, but then around April is when playoffs made March to April. So we're getting closer, and you don't want to ruin your ranking there. But yeah, I think that's the best matchup of the week.
Nice.
College basketball. I kind of went out of the who's ranked, who are some top teams. I saw this number 8 Maryland game versus number 4 UCLA. Maryland is 16-2. UCLA is 14-1. So we have all these like top 10 teams with like 1 or 2 losses.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be, if you want to watch one game this week, I think it's this game.
Nice. Yeah. For a while there was like an absurd number of teams that
All
had
undefeated.
not lost for a long time. And then I think that almost ended in one weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of got served their first loss. Except for probably UConn. I have to imagine they're still undefeated.
Did not even look up there, but last I looked, I think a few days ago, they were still undefeated. So
no, well,
Gino doing
things.
Yeah.
He's still there. All right. Well, that sort of wraps for our content. I want to try something new this week and finish with wins and losses. So staying in our sports theme. Just kind of, through our conversation today, research as we prepped for this episode, what's a win? What's a loss in your mind?
I had my loser picked out, and it's hard to single out a single person. I'll say the WNBA is the league. I think is kind of the loser in the current situation. It just doesn't feel like they're handling it right. I don't.
Yeah.
It feels off.
Yeah. I agree. I want to come up with a more creative loser, but mine's kind of the fans. I think Alex mentioned, and WNBA fans, to be clear, Alex mentioned last episode, I'm going to just overshare for a second, but Alex did not like basketball when we met. And I honestly
don't really like the NBA.
Yeah.
Not really what I like watching.
And I had sort of lost interest in it too. And this is really rejuvenated.
Yeah.
A lot of conversation, a lot of fun, a lot of, again, women that I am yes, I want my daughters to be listening to, watching, seeing you on TV and press conferences and whatever. So I just feel like it's a bummer.
Yeah.
The whole situation. So that's also my loser, but I feel like the fans are it's sad for us,
They're losing. They're not the losers, they're losing.
Yeah, we're losing. Yeah. And the losers are it doesn't seem to be being handled well by the league.
Yeah.
But we're going to do some number crunching too, and then in a future episode on what are these numbers actually mean. We're getting a lot of this is the percentages of the net and the gross, and it's kind of how does that actually break
how does
down?
that play out? Winner?
Ooh, let's see. Winner for me, I gotta go. I know you're this is so silly.
Don't take mine.
No, I don't know if I'm taking yours. I got to see a lot of really incredible sports performances this last week.
You were the winner.
It's hard to. I am the winner.
You're the winner this week.
It's hard to pick one. I got to see a high school basketball star drop 50 piece. I got to see one of my former players play hockey and see a U.S. Olympian do crazy things on the ice. I watched the Amber Glenn performance. We watched Unrivaled. There was so much good stuff. And you just watch it and you're like, yes.
Exactly.
Yes. But I also think too, it's, watching that and then also seeing my girls want to watch it.
Yeah.
Right. And ask, hey, when are we doing that? And they went to the games and got into it and get to see the athletes and the performances, but the community that's built around it and the love that's shared there. I don't know.
There was a really cool that intro video they did just about the community that team has brought in. It's just crazy.
Yes. It was really cool. So that's my winner.
My winner, I think I'm going to go with Fee. I think she's
a badass.
She is a phenomenal player, leader, woman. She just knows what, that quote we read, she knows what to say. She knows how to say it. She's obviously doing great things with Unrivaled. I don't even know what else to say to that. She just is. Yeah. She's the winner.
She is a winner.
She should have won MVP.
And we hope that her ankle surgeries go well and that she can recover.
Absolutely.
If there was ever a silver lining, I don't want to manifest this, but if they didn't play, she'd have longer time to recover and get back on her feet. Yep. But I don't even think she wants that. So we will just declare Fee a winner and go from there.
Call it that. Call it good.
Call it that. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Come back next week for more.
Yeah.
On all things women's sports.
Check us out, RTG_pod on Instagram and YouTube.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.